Am I audible to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Right. So we'll start off the class. Actually, I have a few other sessions also to attend, so I would like to wind up a little early, maybe on time, not like extend beyond that. So I think in the last class we're looking at the prepositions part. So I thought of having it on Thursday and then finish it off, but then I fell sick in between, so I couldn't basically conduct the class. So we'll continue with that. What we were discussing on Monday, last Monday, right? So we were looking at the prepositions, and I think we finished talking about the first 10 questions, and we discussed on how, uh, some of the prepositions, particularly, at least the ones that you see in the first 10 blanks. I only have a few of them there. Of course, there are more prepositions than this. Um, these prepositions are what we also refer to as grammatical collocations, right? So we looked at why they are called so. That is, they appear as if they appear in a pair, right? So there is no particular reason to why I cannot say, you know, relevant in, but I should always say relevant for or typical of and not typical for. This is because these prepositions are in a grammatically collocated relationship with the word involved. What do we mean by grammatical collocation? That there are certain conventions in language that certain words they always co-occur with each other. So while that pairing can happen between a noun and an adjective, it can happen between a verb and an adverb, or between an adjective and a noun, or a noun and a noun, right? All these combinations are possible. While that is possible, grammatical collocations, like the ones you see in the case of prepositions, they're stronger in nature, right? So by strong, we mean that the strength of their co-occurrence or their frequency of co-occurrence is quite higher than anything else, right? We cannot put anything in between them. This has to always appear that way. So at least in the case of the first 10 prepositions that we discussed, they form a case of a strong grammatically collocated, grammatically co-occurring pair, right? Which is why we always have to say that I put a lot of effort into this work and not in this work, okay? Or I was under the impression and not I was of the impression, right? Or I was at a disadvantage or I was at an advantage and not anything else. So the reason is purely that there is a grammatical collocation between them. They always co-occur together, and hence we learn them that way. Okay. Once you understand how they are written, which is by, of course, reading and listening to content in English, it becomes it's only a matter of time that you understand, okay, that uh, this is the preposition that should precede the given word, right? But I told you last time that we are more interested in looking at the common prepositions like in, on, at, right? Why are we interested in this? Because these prepositions in, on, and at, right? They can be used as prepositions of time, prepositions of positions, and prepositions of place, right? So there are three categories. If I look at them in that way, let's call them prepositions of time, place, position. Some people may also want to add the word direction. But I think since already we are talking about position, we don't have to unnecessarily bring in direction, right? Or if it helps you to understand it better, you can add that as well. But as long as you understand time, place, position, I think the use of the prepositions in, on, and at should be easier for you, right? So why are they important? For the precise reason that these three prepositions, they're the most commonly found in the English language, right? So they're so common that if you take account of how many times you're using them while you're even making a simple conversation with someone, you'll be stunned to know, right? And while we use them, we're also using them to show three different relational properties of preposition, which is of time, place, and of position. Just the three of them to show these three things, right? So imagine the kind of the permutation combination possible with just 3 of them to perform the function of or to show the relation of the time, place and the position. So whenever you have elements like this in the language, you have to pay some more attention to them because they have multiple functions, right? And because by the virtue of having multiple functions, there are possibilities for early learners or people who are, say, someone who is not well versed with using them into their day-to-day lives. It's easier for them to get them wrong, right? Or there could be at least some confusions in their usage if not, you are getting them wrong. Okay. So, which is why, from that point of view, from its minimality point of view, in, on, and at are very important, right? So, when you talk about them as prepositions of time, right? In, on, and at, all the 3 of them. What are the interpretations that you have? So, like, when do you use in, when do you use on, and when do you use at, right? Any idea? So understand that when you're talking about prepositions of time and how do they differ from each other in, on, and at, we are referring to their use with respect to specificity. Like which one can show you specific time, which one doesn't show you about specific time, right? So among in, on, and at, what do you think is used to show specific time, like point in time? So say, for example, I say something like, I have a meeting at 5 o'clock today or 5 p.m. today. So is this a specific time? Are we indicating
Yes, ma'am.
time?
Yes, ma'am.
So at 5 p.m. is like a more of a specific pointer towards a time, right? So I have I mean, it's not just because it is indicated mathematically, but otherwise also, that this is something that I can specifically point out, or I can count, or I can show to people that, okay, it's 5 o'clock and I should go, right? So at is one preposition, when used as a preposition of time, which you use to show specificity, right? You want to show specific time, you use at. How about on? So I say my meeting is on Monday at 5 p.m. Is this specific or non-specific?
Non-specific.
Okay, why is it non-specific? So I say my meeting is on Monday. So on Monday is specific or non-specific?
Non-specific.
On Monday is non-specific.
Time is not included.
Sorry, louder, I cannot hear you.
Time is not included.
Time, it's okay. So that element I can add later, right? So, okay, let's say my meeting is at 5 p.m. Is that specific enough? People can say
Yes.
which 5 p.m. today or tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Right? That question can always be asked. But that's not the point. At least, do I have like a specific pointer? When is the meeting? On Monday?
Yes.
So that is specific enough, right? Of course, I can add more specificities. So I can say on Monday at 5 p.m. Right? At so and so place. So these are other specifications, but there is one specification which is the day, on Monday, right? So on
Yes.
is also then a preposition of time which indicates specific time. At also shows specificity, on also shows specificity. Okay. Now, listen to this carefully. When I use in as a preposition of time, okay, I want you to tell me whether I can use it to show specific time period. Okay. So I say the classes start in summer. The classes start in summer. So is it specific or less specific, more specific? What do you think? The classes
Less
start in
specific.
summer. It is less specific, right? Compared to both on and at, in is a little less specific if you look at it, because I'm just saying that classes will commence or it will start in summer. I'm not giving you any further specification. So it is not specific enough, you can say. Okay, if you're reluctant to say that this is not specific, at least you could say that this isn't specific enough. Okay, it just gives me a period in which this could start. It doesn't point at anything particular. So among in, on, and at in terms of specificity, on and at are more specific or they are capable of showing more specific time period than in. Okay. But all of this changes as we move on to the next set, which is when in, on, at is used as a preposition of place, right? But that we'll discuss differently. For the time being, you should understand their use as prepositions of time and how they function, how their degrees of specificity vary, right? On and at could be considered more specific and in is less specific when used as a preposition of time. Okay, is this clear? Is this much clear to you? Then you have in, on, at used as prepositions of place. Okay. So now I again give you a few examples. So I say, I am at the office, right? And I say, I am in the office. Okay. And then I am, or let's say, my phone is on the table, right? 3 sentences. I am at the office, I am in the office, my phone is on the table, right? Now, between the first two, I am at the office and I'm in the office, which one is correct? Do I say I'm
At.
at the office? First one is what? Because I anyway use it. I mean, I'm not saying the sentences in order. So, is I am at the office more, correct, or I'm in the office correct?
I'm in the office.
I'm in the office. How about I'm at the office? I'm in the office is correct. Yeah, you're right. So is I'm at the office wrong? No. Okay. So I could either say I'm in the office or I could say I'm at the office. There's a slight difference in the meaning, the way we're using it, but grammatically, both the constructions are correct. I could essentially say I am at the office or I'm in the office. What do I mean by I am in the office? Whenever I use the word in, right, I am talking about a boundaried space, right? I'm talking about a space. Some people call it enclosed space, some people call it boundaried space, whatever it is. If you are bound off by a particular space, right? If wherever you're inhabiting, you're bound off by that space, or there's a boundary indicating that, then that becomes your enclosed space. If that is what you're indicating, so which is the office, by which I mean I am in the office means I'm inside the office space. Okay. I am at the office doesn't mean that I'm inside that space. I could be anywhere. I could be even near the office somewhere in the premise of the office. I can still say I'm at the office. Okay. So that's the difference between using at and in. When you say at, it could mean that I'm somewhere. I could even be in the periphery somewhere. I can still say I'm at the office. When I say in, I mean I'm inside that space. Okay. So see how when you're using at as a preposition of place, in preposition of time, it was the one that used to tell you about the most specific time. But as you move from time to place, now at is, you can say more or less is something that is a little non-specific, right? So when I say I'm at the office, I'm not very specifically inside the office. I'm somewhere in the periphery of the office. Okay, I could be inside, I could be outside somewhere also. I'm still in the periphery. It's not necessarily inside the space that becomes my office. Okay. So keep this distinction in mind when used as a preposition of place. In and at behaves a little differently. At is usually to indicate that someone or something is at the periphery of something, right? And in is usually when you want to show that someone or something is enclosed or bounded by a space. Okay. Within that space. Now the last is on, right? Which was our example was my book is on the table or my phone is on the table, right? Now what does this indicate? What kind of place or spatial specification is this? Surface, right? So if I'm talking about something being placed on a certain surface, then usually the preposition that is used to refer to that is on, or to specify that is on. The book is on the table, the phone is on the table, the chair is kept on the raised platform, right? The boy is standing on the dais, right? So this is the way how in or at behaves when used as a preposition of place. When you talk about preposition of position or direction, right? If I'm talking about directions usually, right? So if you have to say that your house is located, say um, the direction you have is northeast or southwest, whatever. Do you say the house is located at southwest or in the southwest or on the southwest? How do you indicate direction?
In the southwest.
So you say India, for example, India is located to the dash of the Indian Ocean. So here we are not using prepositions. We are using preposition, but we have used a different preposition. We are not using in, right? I use to. Okay. So in case I have to change it, then what do I do? So what is right according to? So do you say to the what is this direction, south, northwest, or do you say in the northwest? What according to you is the right usage? Can you say to and in both, or is there a difference between both of them? Think of some examples in terms of sentences.
Ma'am, probably both are correct.
Both are correct. Okay. Yeah, even the use of to and in are more common. In or whatever, to is more commonly seen. But is there a difference? What do you think would be the difference, if there is any?
Two refers to the distance, ma'am.
To refers to the distance. No, I'm
Yes.
talking about to in terms of showing directions. You're right, it shows distance and all that, but I am looking for an example that is specifically uh, like what is the difference between using to and in. So in is the answer between on and at and in. In is the preposition that you use to show direction, right? But we use to also. So what is the difference?
To gives the direction and in is about space.
To both shows direction. To is usually something that I thought you could combine the answer that she gave, distance and this thing together and answer. Okay. So anyway, both the answer. So if I say that she is going to the west, okay, or he lives in the west. See, the only difference between both is that when you use a to preposition, you're showing movement, right? Movement towards a particular direction. But when you use in, you're actually talking about a stationary location, right? So in the sentence that I mentioned, located in the northwest of the Indian Ocean. Here I'm talking specifically about a location, right? This is where something is located. But instead, if I want to show movement of something, then I would say that this is located to the, or it is in, it is going to the. So both are right. Grammatical usage, to and in would be both right. But if it is particularly to show the location of something, then it is always in. Okay. And this is for direction. Okay. So anything like, something like, um, she lives in the north of Delhi. Okay. There's heavy rainfall in the eastern side of India, or eastern states of India. My friend stays in the south of the country, right? So if you're talking specifically about the location of a certain place or something, then you use in as the preposition. Okay. Yeah, that is the point here. Okay, so what we'll do
Excuse
is,
me, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ma'am, one doubt is there
Uh-huh.
regarding the video you uploaded on the calendar, ma'am. We are unable to
Okay.
access the file, ma'am. My Gmail is not
No, so
doesn't
video
have
you
access.
don't get access. You don't send in request access for video. The access is only through the playlist links, okay, on YouTube. You don't get access to the videos.
Okay,
Okay.
so I have to watch the playlist, ma'am.
Yeah, you have to go to the playlist and then watch it there. Okay.
But not, ma'am. Much videos are there, ma'am.
Not much videos are there, as in we've just started the session. No, it's only your qualifiers are just over. So over just 4 or 5 weeks of contents are released. So you will only have maximum 3 or 4 videos by now. This should be the fourth or something, if I'm not wrong.
Ma'am, will we get all the videos on that playlist?
Yes. As
Previous.
and when we finish a session, I think the sessions get uploaded into that.
Okay, ma'am.
So only by the end of the semester, you will have like 10, 11 odd videos that we would have covered in the semester. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So we look at questions here now from 11 to 40. So we'll try to finish as many as possible because I also want to take up the lesson on articles, right? I want to not finish, at least I need to start and keep it there. Okay, so beginning with 11. Now, as we saw all these questions, I will talk a little more to you about how you can find collocations, cases of grammatical collocations in on the use of in on and at also in English, right? You probably would have seen people telling you, like for example, this one. Let's look at the first question. Be careful, there is eyes. Not the first one, I think. Okay, anyway, I think we'll meet them on the way. So first one, be careful, there is ice dash the roads today.
There is ice on the roads today.
Ice on the roads, right? Uh, there's ice on the surface of the road is what we intend to say. So on the roads today. Then comes Krakow is situated dash the south of Poland.
To the south of the
In the south.
In the south of Poland. Okay, so a lot of people would have a tendency to write to the south of Poland. Okay, the right answer should be in the south of Poland, situated, because you're talking about the location of something. Krakow is situated in the south of Poland, not to the south of Poland. Then 13, do come in, don't stand dash the cold.
In the cold.
In the cold.
Okay, so now why you're writing in the cold here? Why we using the preposition in here? Don't stand in the cold.
Because it's stationary, he is not moving.
No. So when you are talking about, you think about its definition, explanation that we just had. When do we use in? Or why do we use in showing you?
Ma'am, your voice is not audible.
Here? Here.
Your voice is too low.
Give me a moment. Can you hear me now? Audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Right. So see, the point is that you're talking about the cold. The cold is a space outside that region, right? Wherever they are, maybe they're inside the house. So don't stand in the cold means please do not occupy that particular space because it is cold there, right? So here again, the reference is spatial, which is why we use in. Okay, that's the reason. Okay, then comes 14th one. Do you know those people sitting dash the grass?
On the grass.
On the grass.
Do you know those people sitting on the grass? Yes, correct. Now, do you mean the one dash the left?
In the left.
On the
Okay. Yeah, why in, why on? What is left? This is basically direction, right? So, do you say
Yes,
in the
ma'am.
left or on the?
In the left.
So you need to tell me why do you use in, why do you use, because there's also an answer on. Why in? Why do you say it is in? Let's begin with the in person, right? Whoever answered in.
Ma'am,
So
because
do you think in is right or on is right?
it mentions the direction, that's why in.
But we never said that it is always in for direction. We said that if it is, polar directions, right? North, south,
Yeah.
east, west, then you say in. And then even in that, you have the option 2 to show movement. These are more like lateral directions, so left and right. So do you say in the left or on the left?
On the
We
left.
can say in the left. On the left is right. That is the more commonly used expression. But in the left is not entirely wrong. So if someone says, do you mean the one in the left? Right? They're not entirely wrong. Now, what is the difference? The only thing we need to know is if it is right, then what does it, what can you interpret it as? But in this case, you cannot use in. And I'll tell you why that is. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
If it is used in terms of direction, it has to be always on. Okay. Whenever you are giving
Okay.
people direction and say it is on the left, it is on to your right. You don't say in your right. Okay. When can you use in with left or right? If you are talking again about a space, if you are talking about something inside a space or as a part of something, then you can say in. For example, I can say the page number is in the left corner of the page, left top corner of the page. The page number is in the left top corner of the page. So here I am giving two things. I'm giving both position and I'm giving direction, right? And more importantly, the thing that I'm referring to is within the enclosed space of the paper or the page that I'm referring to. Okay. So if this is what you are intending to say, then you can say in. So the page number is in the top left corner of the page. The keys are in the left drawer. Okay. In that sense, you can talk about left or right in terms of in. But if it is in the terms of direction, it is always on. Okay. Do you mean the one on the left? Not the one. Do you mean the one in the left? Okay. The same sentence, if it is being, say, for example, somebody was referring to, getting a towel that was in one of the drawers of the chest of drawers. If that is the case, and if this is like a follow-up question to that, then even in this question, you can say, do you mean the one in the left? So say both the drawers had towels and you don't know which one to pick. And you ask for clarification, do you mean the one in the left? Now here the reference is to the towel. This is not a direction that's been asked. Okay. But if it's a direction that you are seeking, then you will have to say, do you mean the one on the left? Say I'm taking a road, right? And I ask, do you mean the one on the left? Not do you mean the one in the left? Is the distinction clear for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, now next one, 16. Do you still work dash the post office?
At the first.
At the post office, right? At the post office. In could be right, but more appropriate is at, right? So when you're asking someone about where their job is or the location of the job is, more appropriately you say at, okay? Because you don't mean to ask, do you work inside that office? You know, you only want to ask if you work at that department or that particular, um, you know, um, particular official space, right? You're not talking about the space, the inside space as such. So it's always at, right? Do you still work at the post office? Do you still work at the NPTEL, for example? Do you still work at the online BS? Well, so on and forth. Okay. 17th one, don't keep this medicine dash the sun.
Under
In
Hmm. So among in, on, and at, it has to be in the sun, right? Very similar to question number 13. So do come in, don't stand in the cold. Similarly, don't keep this medicine in the sun, right? So don't let it be in the spatial presence of the sun, so in the sun. I do not like this picture dash the wall,
on the wall.
on the wall, right? On the wall. A lot of people would answer in the wall, okay? In the wall is possible if you're talking about something that is engraved inside, right? Not something that is hanging on it. So if it is on the surface, then of course it has to be on. If it is something that you put within or inside that wall, then you can use in. Okay. 19th, I met Stephen dash the station.
At
At
I met
At
Stephen at the station, or you can say I met Stephen in the station. Right. So you could have either met Stephen somewhere in the premise of the station. You could have also met Stephen inside the space of the station, right? So both in or at could go. Okay. Then comes 20th one. Let's have a ride dash horseback.
on
On horseback, right? There's no other way to answer that. On horseback. Look, there is an aeroplane dash the sky.
in the sky.
in the
In
sky.
the sky, right? In the sky, which means within the spaces or within the bounds of the sky. So in the sky. Uh, some of them I think we've already answered. So Mount Everest is the highest mountain in the world. Shall we meet at the concert? The bird sitting in that tree is one of the rarest dash this region.
of this region.
In this region.
In this region. Okay. In this region. We are only using in, on, and at for these blanks. We're not using anything else. And anyway, off this region is wrong. So the bird sitting in that tree is one of the rarest in this region. Okay, again, we are talking about a space, about a bounded region. Sorry. The Burtons are 25th one. The Burtons are dash the country today.
In the country.
In the country today, right? So they are in the country. The house dash the corner is mine.
Around.
At
corner.
Sorry, at.
Okay, so the house at the corner. Okay. So can I say in or on also with this?
in I think more
Okay, how about on? Can you use on with corner?
No, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's see. So if I say the house, where is it? The house dash the corner. The house at the corner is mine. Okay. So what do we intend to say? You're giving a specific location, right? There it is about giving a specific location. You're saying at the corner is mine. Okay. Which means you're providing a, not specific. You're giving basically a general location of your home, right? Referring to the location of the house to the location where you can find the house. So that is like the more common and more, you know, casually, normally used preposition when it comes to the word corner. That the house at the corner is mine. Now, can you say the house in the corner is mine?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Why can't we say in? Let's change house. Let's say something else. The chair is in the corner of the room. Is it okay?
No, ma'am.
Then what should be the answer? If I say the chair is in the corner of the room,
We can use in also, ma'am.
we can also use in, right? But you have to be a little careful about where you're using it, right? So when you're talking about streets or buildings, then you cannot use in the corner. It doesn't sound very appropriate. Typically, we do not use it that way, right? Because the corner, if it is a space that it occupies, right, then we can call it that way. If it, say, for example, in the case of the chair, you put a chair in the corner, it forms like an angular space there, and the chair can occupy that angular space. But if you're talking about, say, a home or a street or a building or something, this is an impossible scenario. So maybe even though grammatically correct, you will not use people practically, saying sentences like the house is in the corner, right? You can't have a house in the corner, but you can have a chair in the corner. That's possible. You can have a spider in the corner of the ceiling, right? So anything that can occupy that angular space, when you talk about such object or such thing, then it is possible. Okay, so this is more like you're also using your practical knowledge to understand whether I can use in or not. So in the sentence that we have, we cannot use in because it is impossible to have a house located in the corner. It's usually at the corner of a road or something, or it can also be on the corner also, right? On is also like a right answer here. But in is wrong in the case of house, but in is okay in the case we change it with a chair or a spider or something. Okay, which has more possibility of occupying that angular space, right? Now, on the corner, if I say that the house is on the corner, the house on the corner is mine, what is the meaning? When it is directly at the intersection. Okay, when you mean to say that my house is directly at that intersection where the two streets face each other, then you can say on. Okay, if it is only near to the end of that particular road, then I say at the corner. Okay, so there are very slight differences. Just know that on and at are okay in the cases of house, but in you cannot say because it is too huge to fit in that angular space. You cannot have practically something constructed like that. However, the same thing is okay in the case of a smaller object like a chair or say a spider or a pin or something. Okay, understand? So some
Yes,
of
ma'am.
the discussion, some of the grammatical usages are also purely based on its practical, possibility. This also you need to keep in mind while you're answering. Although I don't think that you'll get any complicated things like that. But since we are anyway taking this topic to discuss, it's good to go a little beyond what you see in the lectures or in the graded assignments. Okay. So that is that.
Ma'am,
Then 27. Yeah, go ahead.
ma'am, can we use on also?
Yeah, we can use on also. That's what I just said, no? So if your house is directly at the intersection of the point where the two streets face each other, right? That particular corner is where specifically your house is located, then you can say it is on the corner, which means it's exactly on that corner. It's at that intersection point. That's what we mean
Okay,
to say.
ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Where are we? 27. The picture dash the top of page 33 shows a leaf of tobacco.
On the top of.
Picture on the top of page 33. Yes, correct. Correct. The picture on the top of page 33 shows a leaf of tobacco. Correct. Okay.
And
28,
can
the
we
yard
use at
and.
at the
Sorry, spell
picture
it.
At 80 at.
at
Oh, at the picture at the top of page 33. No. No. So if you're talking about something that is on the surface of something, it's always on, not at. At is usually not used to refer to surfaces. Okay. The picture is clearly on the page, right? So we're talking about a surface level relation between surface to surface relation between the picture and the page. So that has to be on, not at. Okay.
Ma'am, you gave an example where you said in is used for position and space. So
Yeah.
why can't the picture in the top of, because it's top,
Yeah.
so that
No, but the picture is not in the page, no? Is it ingrained in the page? It is on that particular page, right? If it is so, the same example as the wall, I can say in the wall and I can also say on the wall. But if the relation of the object or the object is on the wall, like say a painting that is hanging, then I cannot say in. If I say in, it means it needs to be somewhere in the space of the wall, right? So I can say that the electrical wires are in the wall. That I can say. Okay, but the painting is on the wall. Painting can't be in the wall. So same case applies here as well, right? The
okay.
picture is on the page. It is not, in the binds of the page. That is impossible. You can't have something like that, right? You can say that the ink has bloated in the page. That is okay, but a picture cannot do that, right?
Okay.
So which is why you print the picture on the page, no? So they are two different things, which is on the surface of the other. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Where is it? The yachts, 28. The yachts are sailing dash the British waters now.
In the British waters.
On the
Okay. This is the answer is in, not on. So usually if you're saying
two.
you have to say sail on the water. Okay. But in this case, we say in because it is bounded now. It says the British waters specifically. So we are talking about a boundary. We're talking about a territory. So this becomes like a bounded space. The water itself becomes a bounded space. So then you say the yachts are sailing in the British waters now. Okay. If it is just water, then you say all.
Small button on one end. My stomach dropped as
Okay.
recognition hit. Oh my god.
This difference you need to understand. Like if anything is marked off by a boundary, then you will have to use it as an enclosed space. And if it's an enclosed space, then the preposition is always in.
Must have found it
Get
in
it?
my bathroom toilet this morning. I took it yesterday and I gestured weakly at the screen showing the
Please
positive
mute
results.
yourself.
Yeah, but why was it beeping? It doesn't beep, I said. It's just a regular pregnancy test. He must have been making the beeping sounds himself. We all turned back to
Tanishka. Yeah. Okay. So that's the reason why we use in here and not on. Okay. Have you understood this part?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
ma'am.
Then comes. So, yeah. So the next one, look at this one. There are two boats dash the river.
On the
So you
river.
say- yeah. So is it? You tell me now. There are two boats on the river, in the river. Definitely not at. Yeah. Will you say in or on?
On.
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 off.
Hmm. So, will in be correct if I say there are two boats in the river? Will that be right or wrong? On the river is more, yeah, you are right. It is more common and natural. So, on the river, we
Because it is not bounded, no?
yeah. So, in the river, when will it be right? So, it is less common, of course, but then there are contexts in which in the river can be right. So, when will that be right? In this context, when I say in the river, there are two boats in the river, will it be right or wrong?
Wrong.
No, right? If I'm saying in the river, I'm basically saying that these boats have sunk. But then there is no indication of that, or we are going beyond the context of the sentence, since we do not have anything like that mentioned in the. So say you had another sentence that said the guards were working to rescue the people. There are two boats dash the river. There were two lifeguards working to rescue the people. Then you say in the river, which means we're talking about a sunken boat or two boats, right? But without that context, it is always on the river. There are two boats on the river. When you say in the river, you are saying that it has sunken. But there are other contexts where you can say it. For example, you're talking about something that is something like a submarine, right? Then you can say the submarines are in the river, but not your other boats, right? So yeah.
No, but if river is specified, then we also use in.
Which one? Sorry.
I mean, if river is specified, like there's river name, so we can use in or not.
No. That doesn't matter. Whether you're specifying the name of the river or not, that doesn't make any difference to which preposition you use. So, if you're saying something is in the river, you're either saying that it is sunken or you're saying that it is immersed in the river or in the water, right? So, unless you have context to it, you shouldn't be using in, or unless you are meaning to use it in a way that it is immersed in the water, you shouldn't be using in. It's always on. If you're referring to sailing, right? The only thing you want to say is that there's something floating or sailing on the. Okay, so floating, this is also important. So if you want to say something is sailing, then you say on. How about floating? If you want to say something is floating, do you say floating on the water or floating in the water?
On the
On the
water.
water.
Okay, sure?
Sure.
No, it can be in also.
Okay. So what is the difference then? I can say floating in the water, and floating on the water. On the water again is more common, right? You say something is floating on the water. You say floating in the water when you want to, again, the same thing, right? The difference between using in and on here is very similar to the one that we discussed. So it's usually floating on the water, but when you want to say that something is floating in the water, your intended meaning is that the object is inside the water. Okay. Even if it is something that can float, if it is still inside the water, just give me a moment, guys. Yeah. You can still hear me, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. So, if something is fully or partially immersed inside the water, if that is the reference you want to say, then you say in. Even in the case of floating, you use in only when the idea is to say that something is inside the water and not sailing. Okay. So this
Like submarine, ma'am.
Submarine, yes. So I can say, for example, I can say, what do I say? Algae, for example, right? So I can say algae is floating in the water. So how is it? Algae, usually it is partially submerged in the water, right? When it is floating. So in that case, I can say that algae is floating in the water. Okay. Or I could say that there were there were a lot of unknown particles floating in the water, right? So by which I mean to say that I could see a lot of things that were submerged either partially or fully and were floating around in the water. That's what I mean. Okay. But if I say to say that the duck is, if I have to use this in reference to like say a leaf or a duck or say something that cannot submerge, right? So leaf cannot submerge in water, or say a plastic bottle cannot submerge in the water, or say a plastic ball cannot submerge in anything like that, something that can only float in water, right? Then I use this. The ball or the plastic bottle was floating on the surface of the water or simply floating on the water. The leaf is floating on the water, right? Anything that cannot submerge either partially or fully will always be floating on the water. Other things in the water. Okay. So it's very depends on what we are talking about and what meaning we want to provide. Okay.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, for aquatic plants, what we use?
So aquatic plants, there are plants that are submerged inside, and there are also the ones that are partially submerged. So you can say floating in the water for such cases. That's why I gave you the example of algae. Algae is also partially submerged, so you can say that.
And for aquatic plants, oh sorry, animals.
Aquatic animals, do they? So the fish swims in the water or on the swims in the river or on the river? You tell me.
In the
Ah, in the river, right? Or in the water. So that is, see, that you don't have to ask it separately. That's the thing. If anything that can submerge inside fully or partially, then it is always in. Something that can only be on the surface is always on. That's all.
okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So then comes 30. There are two sentences dash the blackboard.
In the blackboard.
Ah. In the blackboard, on the blackboard,
On the black.
on the blackboard. The two sentences on the blackboard, right? The same example, please think of the wall example that I gave and the picture example on the page. Same thing. So on the blackboard, two sentences on the blackboard. Okay. There is a moth, 31. There is a moth dash the ceiling.
On the ceiling.
On the ceiling. A moth cannot be inside the ceiling for sure. So it's on the ceiling. 32. There is a mouse dash the table.
On the
On the table. On the table. 33. Were you dash Prof Henderson's lecture yesterday?
In.
Were you in Professor Henderson's lecture yesterday? Or do you say, were you at Professor Henderson's lecture yesterday? Yeah.
at the professor.
Okay, why in, why at? You say at, what does it mean? You say in. By the way, both are correct. You can say either in the lecture or at the lecture. The example that I gave you in the beginning, right? So were you at the lecture? What does it mean? Whether you are present.
You are present but not specified.
So whether it's referring to whether you were present or whether you were attending at the lecture as an event. Okay, whether you are at the lecture or not. Okay. If I say in the lecture, then so the first one is more general. It is referring to your participation. Were you at the lecture means yes, I was there. I was there in the class or something. Were you in the lecture? Refers to your participation in the lecture, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Whether you are focused or whether you're inside that particular setting, possibly engaged in, I can go to a lecture, I can simply sit there and come back, not listen, not participate. So, were you at the lecture? It basically is just asking you a general question. Did you go to that class or not? That's all. Okay. If someone is asking you, were you in the lecture, which means they're going to have follow-up question for you. Oh, what happened at the lecture? Then tell me, right? So this is the difference. In the lecture is for someone who's more, inside that setting, was listening, was participating. The other is just a general presence in the event. That's all. Okay. Okay. 34. What can you see? Dash the picture on page 44.
In
In the picture.
What can you see in the picture on page 44? Okay. Yeah. So inside the picture on page 44. Yes. Correct. What is he wearing? Dash his head. 35.
On his
On his head.
What is he wearing on his head? Okay. What is he wearing on his head? Who is sitting? Dash the chair on the left.
in that chair.
Hmm. In that chair or on that chair? Who is sitting in that chair, on that chair?
In that chair.
Okay. How about on that chair?
Yeah, it's correct.
So what's the difference then if both are correct or are both correct?
It maybe depends on the design of the chair.
Depends on the design of the chair. Okay. So the correct answer is what? Do we say in at all? That is the question. You are right. I think you are more or less right to say that depends on the design of the chair, right? Yeah, but remember that in the chair is like a very less commonly used thing. You usually use it when you have to specify that there is more surrounding space to the chair. But the actual, the more appropriate and very commonly used thing, which I would want you to stick with, is on, right? Who is sitting on that chair on the left, not in the chair on the left, right? Maybe if someone says that the child looked comfortably seated in the armchair of the chair, then fine. Okay, so you are giving them an idea of the enclosure of the chair as an enclosed space. But in the absence of that context, if there is just the mention of chair and nothing else, then it is usually on the chair. Okay, unless you are able to give the kind of details which I just gave you. It's always on the chair. So I think the preferred answer here would be who's sitting on that chair. In shouldn't be considered not incorrect, but it's not appropriate to use. Okay. So on that chair on the left. 37. Who is the girl dash this picture?
In this
In this picture.
In this picture. Correct. Whose is this sweater dash my bed?
On my
On
bed.
my
on my bed.
On my bed. Okay, please don't write in my bed. A lot of people would have a tendency to write in. Whose is this sweater on my bed? 39. Would you do it if you were dashed my place?
In my place.
At my place.
in my place.
You tell me.
At my place.
At my place.
Would you do it if you were in my place or at my place? So why in my place? Why would you say in my place?
In my place.
So what does this place signify?
Refers to
Think
this
about what this
situation.
place is.
Refers
Sorry?
to the
Situation.
Yes, ma'am.
Situation. Okay. Okay. So basically, we are not referring to your point is that we are not referring to a physical space here. We are basically talking about a situation at hand, right? Yeah. So then what is the usage? Do you say in or you're going to say at? This is the question.
At.
No,
In refers to
At
situation.
my place has a different meaning. Okay, at is when you that's why I gave you that explanation of physical space. If you're talking about this as a physical location, like literally saying that what would you do if you were at my place, right? If it is a literal use of at my place, sorry, of the place, then we say at my place. But if you are referring to more like a situation, which is this is a phrasal usage, right? This is a idiomatic usage, non-literal usage. Then the answer is in. What would you do? Sorry, would you do it if you were in my place? Okay. The sentence gives you the interpretation that we are not talking actually about a physical location. If it's a physical location that you mean, then it should be at my place. But here, since it is more of an idiomatic meaning that is intended, which is very rightly pointed out, we're talking about a situation. If you were in my situation, here it has to be in my place. Okay. So although in my place, at my place, both are right grammatically, their use is different. Okay. Only if you're referring to physical location, then it becomes at. At becomes right in that case. But if you're referring to a situation like more of an idiomatic meaning, particularly in this case, 39 sentence, it has to be in. It's always in my place if you're referring to that situation thing. Okay, that is the idiomatic meaning. Okay. 40th one, you should not play football dash the
On the street.
Okay.
At the street.
Okay. In this slip, you can see also in this street. So which one is right? Which one do you think is right? So you need to think about street now. The moment you take this question on whether it's in or air, you have to think about, what am I referring to? This is street. So does street become like an enclosed space? Is it a boundary that I am talking about, or is it more like a surface that I'm referring to, or am I talking about a premise? What do you think is a street? Is it a surface? Is it a premise, or is it like a bounded space?
A surface.
It's a surface. Okay. So
So on should be right because you
what should be right? Okay. So you also pay attention to the verb, right? So I can say, say he lives on the street. So when I say he lives on the street, again, think about this at my place, in my place. So am I saying that somebody is living on the street literally?
yeah, if they are
What I
homeless.
mean to say is that the person is homeless, right? So it has an idiomatic flavor. So, or let's maybe not take that. Let's say there's a vendor on the street corner, on the corner, but then that is corner. Okay. So, when you're referring to verbs like play, right? When you're playing, you're doing what? You're occupying a space. It's not a particular point that you are on. You're more like whenever there's an act of play, there's a space that is being occupied. People play in a space, isn't it? Yes, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So if you're saying on the street or at the street, usually on the street and at the street is used to show, a particular, to give a reference of the location. But when you use a verb like play, right, you're not basically showing the street as a location. You're showing the street more as a confined space or a bounded space, right? You should not play football dash the street. So what I'm trying to say is that this is not the space where you should be doing it. I'm not saying this is not the location where you should be doing it. It's the meaning is more of not occupying that particular space, right? Which is why the appropriate answer in this case would be in the street, right? You should not play football in the street, not on the street or at the street. Okay, not referring to the street as a surface or a location. See, whether it is a surface or whether it is, what is the other one? A place of location. I'm ideally trying to tell in both the cases that this is a location. But when I say in the street, the meaning changes. Then I'm treating street as a bounded space or a region where I am prohibiting somebody from playing something, right? Where I'm prohibiting someone to do an action. So if that is the meaning that you need to create, then, or rather in the given context, which is playing the football, this is the more appropriate response, right? In the street, not on the street. You're not talking about the location of something. Okay, you're talking about the space which something, an action needs to occupy, okay, or has to happen in. So this is in the street. Okay, is the explanation clear to you?
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a little confused.
Yeah.
If you say you should not be on the street or in the street.
You should not be on the street or in the street. In the street only.
Okay.
Yeah. Not on the street. Okay. So you can say something like the vendor is on the street, or something like what is that?
Referring to homeless.
Referring to homeless, yes. Yeah, we are. There's a vendor on the street, or he is living on the street, right? So here we are not referring to street as a region. Here we are simply using this as a location, spot or a location. So if that is the meaning that you want to create, if that's the intended meaning, then okay. If it is used as region, then in.
Yeah. Now, what is you say you should not be playing football on the street or in the street?
You should not be playing football in the street. Yes. Not on this.
Okay.
Yeah, look at the action. No, playing is something that will take up a space, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So while you're looking at the prepositions, please be a little mindful of some of these contextual differences. Although the use of other preposition looks like right to you, they may not be right in the use. Okay. You can argue grammatically this is right, but then when you learn grammar is not devoid of your language use or practicality and acceptability in general. So ensure that those columns are also checked before you go ahead and mark an answer, right? So this particularly in the case of prepositions can occur. So be a little careful while you're choosing between in on at. Just read the sentence properly and see what is the intended meaning. Okay. All right. I think it's already time. I have another class at 5:30, so I intend to finish it off and need some cooling period before that. If you have any quick questions, we can take up and then wind up. Anything? I heard somebody asking something. Is there anything?
Ma'am,
Yes.
then from where I can access these pages?
Pages in the sense the documents.
Yes, ma'am. This question.
Documents you can get them from the supplementary tab section on your dashboard for the course. Okay. So they're all uploaded there. You can go and take them from there. They're all PDFs uploaded in the dashboard in the supplementary tab section.
Okay, ma'am, but I couldn't find them.
Try and see. You can go to the course page. Should be there. Okay. Okay. All right, guys. So I'll sign out for today. We'll meet again next week. We'll take up the portion on articles for the next week's class. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you again.